everybody, and welcome to the Kel Knits Podcast. My name is Kelly and I'm an Aussie knitter currently living in Germany, although only for another couple of months now before I head back home. This is my knitting podcast where I talk about knitting, but also occasionally other fibre arts. Thank you for coming and watching, let's get on to it and talk about, first of all, what I'm wearing. This is an item that I actually knit, not this year, not recently, but last year. And I kind of thought I'd wear it today because it's interesting to not just talk about what we've currently or what we're knitting or have just finished right at the moment, but I think sometimes it's really interesting to know what people have knit in the past as well, because then you've got a little bit more information to talk about how the pattern's held up, how the yarn, how you feel about it after a number of wears, and very important question, do you actually wear the item? And this is the Sommer by Lene, and I can very happily say that I love this pattern and I wear it all the time, and I see another one sometime in my future. I think it's a really beautiful design. It was one of my really early garments that I knit for myself, and it was probably the first one that I knit and thought, wow, this is really, really cool, the stuff that I can make for myself. So I can really highly recommend the pattern. The yarn is Sandnes Garn Line in the petrol colorway, and of course I didn't write down the composition of the yarn, but I think it's predominantly cotton and then maybe a mix of a few other things, linen and something else. I like the yarn. I think it's okay. It felt quite good to knit with, but I would say I feel like the colouring is a little bit dull, which maybe is something that happens with this kind of yarn. I'm not so sure. I don't have as much experience in that way, but it makes me think if I did knit it again, I would maybe try something different. Although for a summer yarn, I know that Sandnes Garn Line is really popular, so maybe other colorways are different, or maybe it's just something I've got to expect from this type of yarn. Who knows? But those are my thoughts. Next up is finished objects, and I do have one finished object that I showed last episode, which is my test knit for Anna from the Bluebird Box, which I have finished, and it is the Seed Star tank here. It's a top-down tank that you do the front and back panel first, and then you join it around and work your way down, and it has really pretty lace detailing on the bottom and also on both of the side panels. I'll try and show you, but I'll also make sure I insert a photo as well so you can get a nice look. Definitely an added bonus of this lace for me, I think, is that not only does it look lovely and an interesting little detail, but also a little bit of lace on the side on a hot summer day means a bit of extra ventilation, so there's a bit of a bonus too. I knit this top with BC Garn, checks notes, BC Garn, Bio Balance, which is 55% wool and 45% organic cotton in the colour Harbour, and it's held double. And I quite enjoyed working with the yarn. It feels really soft. Again, it's got a little bit of dryness to it, and that's obviously the cotton, but it was quite easy to work with. And I really, really quite like the result. It's interesting for me. I think the last few items that I've knit have been in fingering or sport weight yarn, and I think that's something I'm discovering as a bit of a personal preference for mine too, that here, because it's held double, it's obviously a little bit thicker, and it's made a really nice kind of squishy fabric that's nice, but I really am enjoying those items that I've knit at a finer gauge, and so I think that's something that's a personal preference thing that I'm learning about, and will probably lean more towards those in the future. But in saying that, this is a really cute tank that I would highly recommend. I have knit the cropped length. I was meant to, for the test, knit the regular length, but Anna kindly let me change to the cropped because I could tell that the regular was going to get quite long, because even this cropped is sitting for me really just above my waist, which I think is a nice spot for a tank top to be sitting as well. So I'm not sure when the pattern's coming out. I imagine it will be fairly soon because she would want to get it out still in the summer months, but I can recommend it when it does. So that's the Seed Star Tank by Anna at the Bluebird Box. Next up are whips, and I have a few. I really had been trying to slow down on the whips and just have one or two things on the go, and then before you know it, they overwhelm you again. Although that's okay. It's okay. Everything I'm doing I'm very excited about. So, and it's all has its kind of purpose. So that's good. First up is last episode I was talking about my plans to make the Rift tea by Jacqueline. Just going to check my notes. Cieslak, I assume is how maybe you pronounce that. I hope I had it right. And I was waiting for some bamboo needles to arrive because I wanted to cast on and take this away on my long weekend in Barcelona. And the good news is that the bamboo needles arrived and I did exactly as planned, and I had no problems on the aeroplane with them. Nobody batted an eyelid. I'm sure I could have taken my normal needles, but at least I felt a little less stressed about it, so it was good. And this was the perfect top to take away and work on whilst I was on holidays, when I just wanted to be able to knit something without having to look at charts or a pattern too much or anything like that. And so here is what I have done so far. Let me see. It's all scrunched up and it's been in the bag here. So it has a split hem, which I did in, what's that called when you knit it through the back loop? It's not the standard rip. I can't remember what it's called. There's a word for it. I'm sure experienced knitters will know. And then I'm now going round and round and round. I am at the length of the pattern already where I could split and start doing the next steps. I think maybe split for sleeves or putting in short rows. I'm not even sure what the next steps are exactly, but it's not quite long enough for me yet. It's a little bit too cropped, so I'm going to go up a little bit higher and then move on to the next section of the pattern. And I will there's a few different, there's quite a few different options in this pattern actually, but you can do a round neck or a V-neck, and I will definitely do the V-neck once I get to it as well. And I'm knitting it in this wonderful yarn. I'm really, really enjoying it. It's the Allis DK by Fru Valborg. And let me check the makeup of that one for you. It's 50% alpaca, 25% linen and 25% silk, and it's a dream to work with. I can't get enough of it. I'm really enjoying working with this yarn, and I can't wait to have it in a finished product that I can wear. I think the dyeing, I think it's the linen that perhaps doesn't take the color so much, so it kind of has these, very, very slight variegation in color that I think looks really interesting and lovely. And I'm enjoying that. I did most of this whilst I was away, and I haven't done so much of it since we got back, but that's because I'm just doing stockinette, and I've got a 3-hour drive coming up this weekend to visit my in-laws, so I thought I'm going to leave that stockinette for that drive because that's perfect, and then once I've done another inch of that, I'll move on to the next section. But so far I'm really enjoying the pattern, and the yarn is lovely, and it's living in, I don't have too many fancy project bags, but this lovely project bag is from the Blue Rabbit House, and when I saw it I couldn't resist this adorable koala, and she has beautiful project bags and different things as well. And whilst I think about it, I had some people ask me in the comments as well about my little needle stoppers, and I have a few really cute ones. So these are obviously little sheepies, and I have a few different ones as well, and most of the needle stoppers that I have come from the Happy Kiwi shop. She's on Etsy. I think she's based in the Netherlands, but I will make sure I put a link to her shop below as well because they're really cute. and that's kind of fun. And my daughter, if anyone follows me on Instagram, I think I put something up in my stories. It's really handy when you're hanging on out on a plane with a 7-year-old or, you know, probably younger as well. When you've got these little needle stoppers, they're also lots of fun for kids to play with if you need an extra toy or something to entertain children. Okay, next in whips, I have started another test knit, because apparently I finish one and then go straight to the next one. But Sophie, who is the Knit Purl girl on Instagram, and she has an awesome YouTube channel as well, which I will link to below. She has a number of, I think she has maybe, well, she certainly has one, the Crescendo blouse, and there's maybe a chunkier version as well, or a different version, maybe 2 different versions so far. And I have the pattern for the blouse, but I just haven't gotten around to making it yet. And then she showed that she was looking for testers for a summer version. So I had to put up my hand for that. And I have no regrets at all, because I'm really enjoying it so far. But here is what I have so far. There's not too much to see. It's just the very top. And I'm just going down from the neck with this beautiful lace, which is going, I believe these triangles are going to kind of increase in size like a crescendo. And then it will just, once I've got the yoke done, split for sleeves, round and round stockinette for the rest of the body. So that should be pretty straightforward then. But so far the pattern's really lovely. I think it's possible I didn't do one of the increase rounds correctly. And I realized it last night, because this is what happens when you knit late at night, watching television, maybe not paying enough attention. And it's just, oh, I could see, I didn't even know. It's just these increase rounds here. But honestly, I kind of thought about, do I rip back? Because I haven't done so much yet. I could rip back and start again. I probably won't. To frog or not to frog, that's the question, isn't it? But I don't think it's so bad. So I don't think anyone will really notice it that much. It is up around the neck, but I think it looks okay. So I probably will leave it. We will see. But I'm knitting this in Krea Deluxe organic cotton. So it's 100% cotton, and it's really nice. I think I've mentioned a few things I've knit where cotton has been part of the makeup. But in the past, if I've knit something with 100% cotton, it's been not very pleasant at all. And this one actually feels really, it's definitely got some bounce and elastic to it. It's quite soft. It doesn't feel particularly dry at all. So I'm really enjoying knitting with this so far. Yeah, and I think it's also going to make a beautiful top at the end. And I'm all about the summer tops. And here are some other needle stoppers of mine, which is holly. And you might wonder why I'm using Christmas inspired needle stoppers when it's the middle of the year. But my daughter's name is Holly, so I'm allowed to use it all year round. Okay, and my final whip, which is of course not my only whip, but I mean in terms of whips that I'm currently working on, is I mentioned before that I was going to do the Helen Stewart from the Curious Handmade. She has an MKAL that's just started this week, started on Tuesday, which is called the Miss May Shawl MKAL. And it's inspired by, I wrote down her name, which I should remember, Miss May Morris. I don't know why I couldn't remember that, who was an English artist from the turn of the century. She's got a famous father, but this is about her beautiful art. I think she did lots of beautiful embroidery and all sorts of things. So it's inspired, Helen's been inspired by her work to create this shawl. And so I've started working on that. I will do a spoiler. So what I might do, because just in case there's anyone working on the shawl and it doesn't want to see, I mean, I haven't finished the first clue yet, but I might then first talk about the yarn anyway, and I have it here as well. which is, I have this from Skudderia, this Pinta yarn, and in the colorway Macchiato, and it is 60% merino wool, 20% silk, and 20% rami, which I hadn't heard of before. I believe is a plant-based fiber that's quite strong, and it's really, it's again, it's lovely to work with. I'm pretty sure I mentioned last episode that I was going to look for a yarn in Barcelona to make this shawl, and I did find a yarn and I did buy it, but it's not this one. I'll talk about it what I bought later on once I talk about new yarns and new projects and things, but I just wasn't quite feeling the color, and when I saw this color, it was exactly what I had in mind. This shawl can be knit in 4 different colors, but it can also be done in one solid color, and that's what I wanted to do, so that's what I've gone with. And yeah, so far so good. So spoiler, in case there's anybody who doesn't want to see where it's up to, here, just jump forward a couple of minutes, but here is mine so far, and it's looking so pretty. I think so anyway. If it doesn't show up so well with me holding it up, I will insert a photo. So I'm probably maybe 3/4 of the way through the first clue, and it runs for 5 weeks, and there'll be a clue, I believe, every Tuesday for the next 5 weeks. So far, I wasn't too worried about whether I was able to keep up with the clues or not, but I'll give it my best go. We'll see how I go. I will be away for a week in the middle of it when I know I won't get any work done on it. So that will probably put me behind, but perhaps if I can keep up with it until then, I'll aim for that to start. So that's all I have in terms of whips that are currently being worked on. There are others that are being neglected, but let's not worry about those right now. But I do have another whip, which is not knitting related, that I will show you very quickly. But I think I'd shown last episode or the one before, I bought some yarn to try weaving, because I don't know why, because it sounded like fun. And last weekend here in Germany was a long weekend, and we were meant to be going to my in-laws, but for various reasons we didn't. We're going this weekend instead, and that kind of meant we had a weekend at home that we hadn't planned, which meant that I could find that couple of hours quiet time whilst my daughter and my husband were playing a board game. I thought, right, let's make a wall hanging. So I haven't finished. I probably could get done if I gave it a couple of hours. Well, not even that. I don't think it would take me too long to finish it. But here's what I have so far. And I am following a pattern by Clever Poppy called Boho Babe. And I'll also put in a picture of what it's meant to look like, because I've chosen some different colors. And I'm going to be mixing them up a little bit too, because I realized I didn't have enough of this kind of lighter sky blue color, so I had to go through my stash and found this We Are Knitters petite yarn, which I could hold double to use up here. And I've realized that actually, well, woven wall hangings can also be quite a nice way to use up stash if it's chunkier anyway. And it's going to go up further here and have a few more tassels and different things, and then we'll see how we go. But it's lots of fun. So if you're interested in a new craft, I'd recommend giving it a go. I picked this up from Søsteren Grene for not so much, so it wasn't too expensive. And probably for those knitters that have got a very healthy yarn stash, maybe you don't even need to buy more yarn for it. So I don't know when I'll finish it. I might get it finished in the next few weeks, or it might sit and languish for a while. But I'm going to have to pack up our apartment, and we're going to be moving in the next 2 months. So something will have to happen between now and then. But it's good fun. Okay. Next up is we're going to talk about acquisitions or new yarns, and maybe projects I'm thinking of with some of those yarns as well. because I know I've mentioned with the move that I'm torn between trying to not buy new things and buying all the European yarn. And this last couple of weeks has shown that I have definitely gone down the buy all the European yarn end of the scale. Not sorry. I know I'll be happy to have it once we're back in Australia, so that's good. So let's start with what I got in Barcelona, because I mentioned that before. I found this adorable little shop called All You Knit Is Love, and they had a really cute little sign out the front about how yarn makes great souvenirs, which I 100% agree with. And the lady in there was really sweet and lovely, and I had a nice little chat. And I bought with the original intention of making the Miss May shawl MKAL, using for that MKAL. It's called their murmer yarn, and it is 75% merino and 25% cashmere. So it's lovely, beautiful and soft. And I don't know, there's nothing wrong with this yarn. I really, really love it. But I started seeing it not as a shawl. I started seeing it as maybe a cardigan or something, or some other garment. But and I think also the cashmere is really soft and squishy and beautiful and warm. But for the shawl, I was thinking, it'd be nice to have a little bit of silk, that silky texture. Whereas again, this would be really nice as a garment. So it's going to have a new life as something else. I will definitely find something wonderful to make with this because it's really pretty. And the other thing I bought, I've got my pile of yarns here, pull that from underneath, whilst I was there, is this one here, which is called K2 Tog. And I bought 3 skeins of this. I just bought 1 skein of this, so enough for maybe a cowl or a hat or something. But the reason I bought it was because it's 70% wool and 30% milk. I don't know how that works, but apparently that's how this yarn's made. And I'm told that it actually the milk adds a filling like cashmere, increases the softness as well. So I was quite willing to give that a try for a lot of fun. And also I love this colour. So got that one. And then I saw that Fru Valborg were having a sale, and I was using her Allis DK and loving it so much that I had to buy more. Or I didn't actually buy the Allis DK, I had to buy just more from her shop. And I bought 4 skeins of this Silky Yak Singles, which in the petrol colourway, which is 65% merino, 15% yak, and 20% silk. Yeah, you can see I love these colours. And I'm thinking so I have 800 meters, it's 200 meters per 50 grams. Yeah, 800 meters, and I thought this will make a really nice summer top. So in the top I have in mind, although I may change my mind, I reserve the right to change my mind all the time, especially when there's always new, bright, shiny, beautiful patterns coming out. Of course, I didn't write it down. I think it's called the Carla Tea, and I can't remember the name of the designer. Is it Pin and Pip? Is her website. I will write it on the screen and add it down below, but I thought that would look really nice in this, or some other kind of summer top. I also bought from Fru Valborg a skein of sock yarn. I don't know why, because I don't particularly knit socks. But of course I can use it for anything, can't I? So 80% merino, 20% nylon in the colour Sandstone. And I just liked the colour. Do I need another reason? No, definitely not. And then the last one I have here is from Skudderia, which is a German dyer. And this was her Merino Skywalker at the beach, and it's another sock yarn, 75% wool and 25% nylon in this really lovely summery colours. So I have lots of new yarns, some of which I have plans for, some of which I don't have any plans for, but that's all right. Yeah, it's fun. Why not? Sorry, I just had a problem with my phone, so I had to stop and start again. Okay, next up, what I wanted to talk about was doing a little giveaway. I've mentioned the move overseas, which means I'm trying with everything at the moment that I can. What can I donate? What can I give away? What can I sell? What is just rubbish and no longer functional anymore? And so in my yarn stash, I was trying to do that as well. Ignore the pile of new purchases over here. But I also thought, well, why not have a look through my yarn stash, and if there's things that I think are really beautiful yarns that I just don't see myself working with in the near future, why not see if somebody else wants them and we could do it as a giveaway. I love watching going into giveaways on YouTube channels. I'm sure lots of other people do as well. So let me show you what I've put aside. I have 2 balls of this Knitting for Olive cotton merino, which is lovely in the rust colorway. I can't remember what I purchased this for, and I know lots of people really adore these autumnal kind of rusty colors, and I do too, but they just don't really suit me so well, so I don't find myself working with them. It's only 2 balls, so it's not enough for a full garment, adult size anyway. You could definitely do a nice baby garment out of this. But I'm sure there's other projects that could be used or combined with some other colors. So I have that one, and then the other beautiful skein I have, which I really was like, maybe I should keep it. But no, I've had it in my stash for a year and I haven't used it, so I'm going to say goodbye and pass it on to a new home. And it's this Keith's Garn, and she's a dyer based in Berlin, and it's her merino sock. 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon in the Columbia colorway, and it's really lovely. So I have these, and I will also probably include, maybe I have a couple of little stitch markers and things as well that I might throw in there as well. Not everyone wants to enter a giveaway, that's cool too, and I don't want you not to comment below because you don't want to enter the giveaway. So how do you enter? Like, subscribe, all those things, and put a comment below, and just use somewhere in there, you know, or just write the word giveaway is fine. And if you don't, and then when I do the comment picker, from what I understand, I can put in search terms, so I can only choose a comment that has within there the term giveaway. So if you don't want to enter, you can still comment. But if you do, make sure you use the word giveaway, and I will I'll run it for a couple of weeks, and we'll choose the winner for just before the next episode. And the next episode probably is in maybe about 3 or 4 weeks. I've fallen into kind of unintentionally a bit of a 2-week schedule, which is undoubtedly something I won't be able to maintain going forward. But I definitely can't maintain it for the next one, because in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to be doing the Tour de Mont Blanc, which is a big hike. It's going to be a 7-day hike around Mont Blanc. And I'm so excited. So it means I won't be here to film an episode, but I will do one when I get back. And also, I do plan on knitting. I am catching the train. I'm going to spend a couple of days in Geneva, and we'll be catching the train there and back, and I think it's about a 6 or 7 hour train ride. Ugh. Which does sound terrible, but also is great for knitting. So I will be getting lots of knitting done, I'm sure, on the train ride there and back. But I also would like to knit on the hike, because yes, I will be doing lots of hiking, but in the afternoons when we get back and we're in the refuge, I will undoubtedly want to sit and do nothing. So what a great time to do some knitting. The problem is, all I can have with me is I'll have my pack, which is going to be on my back. So obviously I don't want that too heavy. And then I can only have another small bag, which is a maximum of, I think, 7 kilograms. So it's going to be enough of a challenge just simply packing in my essentials that I'm just going to have to prioritize a knitting project. It won't be some big sweater. I said before, I'm not a massive sock knitter, but I think that's probably what I will bring. Just something with some 9-inch circulars so I can just go round and round and round and round and not think too much about it. I actually thought what I might do is a sock tube, which I've never done before, but then I don't even need to worry about heels and toes or anything like that. I can just do that when I get back home. So that's my plans for that. The other thing I thought I would mention just in this episode before I finish up too, is a little bit just kind of about me and transparency a little bit too, because I do realize that in the first episode, I mentioned that I'm not a particularly fast knitter. And then every episode since, I keep showing all these finished objects, which makes me out to be a bit of a liar. And there's a couple of things there. One is that I probably am faster than I thought I was, because the more I knit, obviously you get a bit quicker. I think the other one is too, this podcast is motivating me to really work on projects. But the third thing, transparency, is that I'm not working. When we moved to Germany, the plan was, we moved here for, my husband's family is here, but we moved here for his job. And my plan was to learn the language, or spend, not to full fluency necessarily, obviously, but to spend some time learning the language and then start looking for work. And that started off okay. It started off a little bit slower than we planned because it took us a long time, longer than we expected to get settled. But then I got into a language school and that was going well. And then the pandemic happened. And then my daughter was in daycare, but then daycare was closed, and then it was open, and then it was closed again. And then it was recommended that we don't take our child. And we've all lived through that for the last few years. But so it really meant that, you know, I had to be available for my daughter. And then by the time all of that was through, well, obviously not finished yet, but anyway, we had made the plans to move back to Australia. And at that stage, it didn't really make any sense for me to now try and find a job when we're going to be heading back. So I'm in a very, very privileged position where, although it's not ideal, we can survive off one salary until we get back home, and then I will start looking for work again. And that means I have time to knit in a way I never would have in the past. And when we go back home, I'm going to be looking for a new job, and I am really looking forward to that because I quite enjoy working, and I miss that part of my life as well. And it would definitely mean that my knitting time will shrink significantly. Like doing the wall hanging, and I don't know when I would find to do that normally in my otherwise normal working life. So I just thought it was really worth kind of putting that out there for transparency. And I really enjoy this knitting community. I love watching knitting YouTube. I love knitting Instagram and being on there, but I definitely think that sometimes it can make you feel like, wow, people are churning out all these things and I'm here still working on the one project and it's taking me months. And I don't want anyone to feel like that they're slow, or that that's not okay, or that they need to move quicker, because this should be a craft that we enjoy, and it should be a craft that gives us pleasure, not stress. So I thought that's why I wanted to kind of, for transparency purposes, and to kind of explain why I definitely have more time than most people would to be knitting away. And I'm trying to make the most of it now whilst I can, because it's not going to be that way forever. But that's all I have to talk to for today. So thank you if you stuck around to the end. Thanks for coming. Thank you to everybody so far who has subscribed, who has liked the videos. I'm really, really, really overwhelmed by it all. And it's just been a lot of fun to be involved in. So I hope you all have a lovely day, whatever you're doing, whatever you're knitting and working on, and I will see you next time. Bye.